Good morning and happy holy day, the celebration of Saint Mardarije of Libertyville. Today we celebrate his feast day, and we will be serving liturgy in a little bit here at St. Nicholas Church. But I have to confess something to you, and also to God and to our dear and blessed and beloved saint, whose relics are incorrupt. His whole body is incorrupt, up at the monastery of New Gračanica, rather monastery of Saint Sava of Libertyville. Our diocese is at New Gračanica. In any case, the reason I said to my shame is because a couple of months ago, my wife asked me one Sunday after church, where is the icon of Saint Mardarije to be venerated? I don't see one at our church. And I couldn't believe it. I went into church and I looked around. We didn't have one icon to be venerated of Saint Mardarije. We had quite a few in our bookstore in the back, glory be to God, and we had one which is right here. Let's see, how can I do this? Right here, which we commissioned, which was hand-painted for our church, but that icon was in the altar. We didn't have one outside. So I went to the bookstore and I picked up the icon of Saint Mardarije, and I put his icon here at church, and God willing, we will order a large icon to be in our church. But there's something else that I say to my shame. This morning, as I got up to light my vigil lamp at home and to incense the home and say a few prayers, hopefully before coming to Divine Liturgy, I realized that I also looked around in my home. I didn't have an icon. We didn't have an icon of Saint Mardarije in our home. Why is this important? You may ask. Well, I'll tell you something. There are only two fully incorrupt saints. In other words, their whole body is incorrupt, which we venerate. Two that I know of. One is in San Francisco, St. John of San Francisco, and the other is in Libertyville, Illinois, north of Chicago, at the oldest Serbian monastery. Now, yes, Saint Mardarije was from the old country. He is a Serbian saint, but in reality, there's no such a thing as Serbian saint, Greek saint, American saint, Bulgarian saint, Russian saint, Ukrainian saint, whatever saints. All the saints are universal. That's why we universally celebrate them. St. Nicholas, for example, is not Serbian, but we celebrate him as our own. St. Moses the Black is from Africa, but we celebrate him as our own. In any case, my point is, this saint, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ, is the saint of the Midwest. He is one of the saints in America whose body is incorrupt, and from the beginning, from the time when they exhumed his body a few years ago and found out that he was incorrupt, to this day there are miracles performed around his relics. And it's just an hour, 2 or 3 hours away from us who are in the Midwest. People travel and fly out to San Francisco to venerate the body of Saint John of Shanghai or San Francisco, and people fly from New York to to California to venerate this miracle of God, if you will, because that's what exactly that is. It's a miracle of God. It's God taking a dead body and making it alive, just like he took a dead stick of Moses and made it as powerful as changing water into blood, or hitting the stone and water gushing out from it. So I'm going to make an effort, and I'm giving a promise to this saint today, that I'm going to make the effort that every home in our parish will have an icon of Saint Mardarije. No home in our diocese, in our parish, in our church should be without an icon of this blessed saint. Yes, who happens to be the first bishop of the Serbian church here in America, who established so many churches, who died young because he did not take care of himself over the church. In other words, the church was more important than his own health. And that's probably the reason why he died, not probably, but it is the reason why he died so young. They said that he was so eager to build the monastery and the orphanage and everything else around the monastery of Saint Sava in Libertyville, Illinois, that he carried brick by brick from Chicago on his bicycle, and many times in very cold and rough weather. He traveled from one side of America to the other to unify the Serbs and to make them Orthodox Christians, real Orthodox Christians. That was his goal. Especially at that time, it was very rough because people came here for better life, for more money. And then all of a sudden he comes in and starts preaching, there's something better than money. There's something better than the life that we live here. And we need to be aware of this because that's where we're going to spend eternity. Not here. We're not spending eternity under these circumstances here and now, but we're spending it immersed in the love of God if we choose to. And this life that we live is the one that determines whether or not we choose to be with God or push him away from ourselves, or push ourselves rather away from him. So brothers and sisters, whoever you may be, this saint is a hidden miracle in the Midwest of America, in just north of Chicago, in a little bitty monastery where you could come and venerate his relics any day of the week. I do know that on Sundays they actually open up the I guess you could call it a coffin, casket, reliquarium, whatever you want to call it. They open it up so you can even visually see his hands, which are, as I said, totally incorrupt. His beard. One of or several of my friends who were there when they exhumed his body said that his hair and his beard was just as if it was shampooed today. And in fact, I remember going to the bishop's house right after they exhumed his holy relics. He was just laying on a table, if you will, in the bishop's office until they actually put him in a reliquary and took him down to the church. And it was unbelievable to see the body of this saint who died 70, 80 years ago, who is perfectly whole, except for one part of his body towards the bottom of his, down from the knees down, which seems like God wanted to give to church for distribution. And there's a great miracle that you can ask when you go to the monastery, and make sure that you not only have his icon in your house, but that you go when the time is right. You go and you venerate his relics and ask for his help, because he will help. Pray for you and your family today and always, but also ask about that miracle which happened when they were taking out his body from the ground, which is just absolutely amazing how God had this in his plan, even on the day when he was actually buried. May God bless and keep you through the prayers of Saint Mardarije, and may we remember this saint, because he is our saint, especially the saint of the Midwest of America, but the saint of all of us. And I hope and pray that you will have his icon, as now I will, in my home, God willing. srećan praznik.